Thank you for coming out tonight. We wanted to make two opportunities for people. I know we give our downtown report, which is somewhat of a limited report, every city council meeting. But I think this is a good chance under the new DDA law to talk more about what the DDA does. So it's a good thing. My name, for the record, Bob Donahue, City of South Lyon's Economic Development and DDA Director. I've been here since June of 2016, and a lot of good things are happening. So, make sure all the technology is going right here. Okay. I want to thank Deb and Dave Neal for the use of the theater tonight. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're going to go through the basics. For the record, set the record straight. This is our Downtown Development Authority boundary. We were established in 2001. So we have not changed. We are one of the smallest downtown development authorities in Oakland County. Thus we have a very small budget. But I know that the state has been looking at the size of DDA districts. And so we have what I would call an honest sized DDA district that is primarily our core downtown with not much fringe. If we were to look at Village of Holly, if we looked at Lyon Township, our neighbors, if we looked at Milford, their DDA districts are much larger than the core downtown. There were a lot of loopholes in the DDA law. That was wise planning on their part for infrastructure. But the state's been trying to crack down on DDAs. In fact, they tried to eliminate them. Our statewide Michigan Downtown Association fought hard. And we want to thank your local legislators, Runstad and Kathy Crawford, for really defending us and keeping our DDA, because we could have lost them. So what we've had to do is become more transparent with meetings like this, and we're looking at not being on anyone's list to be targeted for elimination because we have an honest-sized DDA. And I think there'll be legislation in the future to take some of the larger ones and reduce them. So, this new law requires not only the two meetings. We're having this evening meeting, of course, and then we're going to have this first year another one at our DDA Board meeting on November 14th next week. We're going to devote that whole meeting to this same program. So give people a couple options to come out. But the other things that specifically we have to address in New Public Act 57 is that our website and our DDA page on that website and our Facebook need a lot of work, and our city manager is working on that. We have a new tech company at the city, and so we will be making those changes, and they are required in Public Act 57. Our annual report, the first thing we did for compliance was our annual report. And the audit was provided to the State Department of Treasury, and so we've done that. And then we are monitoring our current tax increment finance plan, which is how we fund our DDA. Our DDA plan was a 25-year plan, and that was put in effect in 2001, so in 2026. In fact, for 2 years before that, we're going to have to talk about extending, renewing, and how we'll go about that. So, the DDA, who are they? Well, we have a few tonight. By law, they have to be property owners or residents of this community, and or a resident within the DDA district. So, as we go down the list here, Derek Mashburn, our board chair, is a downtown resident. Derek, want to wave your hand? There we go. Jeff Heineman, our vice chair this year. Business and property owner. Jeff, give a wave. Gene Carroll, not here tonight. Gene, a longtime property owner, owns the property around the Veterans parking lot. Gene was the immediate past chair. Mark Childs in the audience. We've all known Mark for years. Back on the board as secretary. Tanya Nevitt, owner of Venue Women's Fashion women and men's fashion. If you go to the back wall, there's a lot of stuff for guys too. Annie Butchtrup with the Lemon Tree. Norm Foltz, Norm's Auto. Gary Fagan, South Lyon Collision. Paul Zelnak, our city manager. And I am a non-voting as the DDA executive director. So our board meetings are held on the second Thursday of each month, except December. So we have 11, and we may have an occasional special. City Hall meetings start at 8, religiously end by 10, or if Derek's beating that gavel, we'll get out of there at 10, no later, generally. We also have informal downtown business and property owner meetings that take place each month at the Corner Cafe. We've been doing that for a couple years now. And it's another outlet for business and property owners to come. And we have anywhere from 5 to 20 people, and that kind of rotates the group. But it's a good communication tool. So let's quickly look at the budget. It's important to get a better feeling for the budget. But before we look at the budget, the primary, you'll see in the information coming up, the primary source of our budget revenue is tax increment financing. And you may know what that is. It's not a new tax. Tax increment financing is the amount of increase 1 year after the day that the DDA district is formed. And most communities, as did South Lyon, chose to put their tax increment financing revenue plan in place at the same time they formed the DDA district. Not all communities do that. It's a very wise move. So the law requires that you set a base year. So for the first year, we had no revenue. The first time the DDA received its revenue was 2002. And that grows with inflation or new development. So it's just the increase in property taxes minus the school taxes within the DDA district only. I think that's what all that says. My wife says, you know, you're violating all the PowerPoint rules. You don't put all those words up there. But so, since everybody's going to get a copy of this, that text is there for future reference. So, let's see. We get our information, of course, as all the other tax accounting from Oakland County Equalization. And so our numbers that you'll see come from, in the next few slides, come from Oakland County Equalization Office. So, what does our budget look like? Again, our primary source up there at the top is that tax increment financing. That's the increase in taxes. Oh, by the way, what happened to all the existing taxes in 2001? Because we said just the increase in taxes go to the DDA's budget. The existing taxes up until 2001 still go to all those tax jurisdictions. They keep all that amount. We just take the increase and invest it back into the downtown. So it's just the increase. And it's a partnership, quite frankly. It's a partnership. Those tax jurisdictions understand that we're following the law, and the law was written as a partnership so that the community, other tax jurisdictions are investing in the downtown too. So what happens if you have a strong downtown, you've stabilized and increased the taxes in the downtown, but you've also created the positive image to the front door to your community, which stabilizes and increases the taxes throughout the community. There are studies that have proven that. If you wanted to go to place economics, Google place economics, or if you Googled Donovan Rypkema, R-Y-P-K-E-M-A, we can prove that a stable downtown, in fact, stabilizes and increases taxes for the whole community. So what does that do? All those tax jurisdictions that are partnering, letting us have the increase, are getting more increase conceivably outside of the DDA district because of a strong downtown. So you can see down there the major things that we spend our money on. We have some photos coming up to show these things. We don't have a lot of money now. Our revenues, we have a very small. We're one of the smallest DDAs, again, in Oakland County. To let you know, our revenues for the farmers market and our winter events, you know, we're talking about in the range of $10,000 for our events. Anybody, you want to guess how much the city of Rochester's Downtown Development Authority has to spend on promotions and marketing and events? Any wild ideas?
40,000.
There's one. 40,000. Any others? How about 500,000? I was there. I was the DDA executive director in Rochester from 91 to 99. And they formed their DDA back in early in the 80s. So they had a 57% office vacancy, upper floors. They had 27% retail vacancy. So they started at the bottom. So they, since I think it was 1983, quite a jump on us, 18 years. So in those 18 years, if you've been through Rochester, they had 18 years of tremendous growth through a great teamwork, support. So where will we get? We have a much smaller DDA, but we will have relatively the same success curve because we're managing our downtown. We'll get to that. So that was the revenue. Our expenses now are $50,500. So right now, we're saying, wait a minute, let's go back. Just looking at the expenditures before we get into it. If the revenues are 70, and the expenses are 50, why don't we just take that 20 grand and do a lot more? Here's the problem. Sponsorship is part of the revenue. Okay, let's go back. So sponsorships, we have to really rely on things, and it's tight. When you look at $20,000, if you don't get your sponsorship revenues, you're getting down to the zero. So we are trying to always do a better job of sponsorship, but that's a rough game. We're learning how to do it better. And so our city manager is very conservative so that we don't go in the red. So when it looks like we have 20, we're really close until we get all of our sponsorship dollars in at the end of the year. So let's go back again. So our $50,000 worth of expenses break down to farmers market manager, wages and training. I happen to think we have an outstanding farmers market manager. Tim, give a shout out. Tim, wave your hand. So then it's a very small budget. When I mentioned Rochester has a $500,000 events budget, but they have a $1.5 million overall budget compared to. So we're a very small DDA. So I think we're very conservative in how we spend our money, and I think our board is learning its role. And so it's the third year into really making the board feel good about what they do. And we have a practice that all the events, board chair has to chair that event. And certainly staff assistants and other board members get involved too. So, summary, quick, again, we can't get too excited about that 20,000 because that is the difference in being totally meeting the projected sponsorship revenues. And so I would say that we're doing pretty good, but we could do better on sponsorship. Okay, so our management philosophy and our strategy. So our philosophy is that downtown management, the successful downtowns, using the National Main Street Program, which is Main Street America trademark, and working with Oakland County, Main Street Oakland County's program. Our philosophy and strategy come from those national and county organizations. I was the previous director of Oakland County's Main Street program for 18 years. So our DDA strives to be comprehensive, managing downtown in a comprehensive, ongoing, community-involved, transparent, and professional management program. So how do we do that? And we utilize the National Main Street 4-point approach. All the slides after this, you're going to see are broken down into those 4 points, basically. But that is how you manage a real estate asset. If we didn't manage a real estate asset, we wouldn't have the success we have downtown now. When I was at Oakland County, we always said, why doesn't South Lyon want to get involved? And there just was no interest. There were comments like, we can handle that on 5 hours a week, or we can just, well, it kind of takes care of itself, but it doesn't. So there's a big responsibility for our DDA board and the person in my position and all the support we have from City Council to make this happen. And it doesn't happen by magic. It's got to be comprehensive. So we're lucky to have this. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. So organization. Basic organization is that we have the DDA. That is the primary organization that manages downtown. So, but we're in a partnership because we were formed by the city under state law. So our two primary partners managing downtown are our DDA and our city. And we have incredible support. And I can boldly say this. I think we have 7-0 votes on everything that the Downtown Development Authority has ever done in the last 3 years. And that's incredible. Now, all towns don't have that. So, but we have other partners that we rely on for information. And we get the resources. So Oakland County Main Street, the Michigan Downtown Association, I've been on that board for 38 of its 39 years. Main Street America is the National Main Street Program. Of course, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, programs that we can use for our businesses. Now, granted, those are for generally projects over $500,000, but we're getting into those. And our Michigan Historic Preservation Network, statewide, which supports and has different incentives tied to it for our historic buildings. And we've discovered that it's okay to put a value on our historic buildings. It used to be that if you said, oh, it's historic, that means I can't do anything to my building. Or that means something bad. But I think what we've learned in the last 3 or 4 years is that's something very good, because it makes us distinguished. Economic development now, one of the primary focuses of economic development is place. We have the downtown that most people would die for. We just have to maximize it. So our partners are great. We work together. The Statewide Conference is Wednesday through Friday. And we are at the table. People know South Lyon's progressive now, and it's fun to represent South Lyon and be proud of it. So design. Design is where that's the sexy one. That's where you see everything happening. So we look at design, and it's as basic as how we move people around town by design. Safety tends to go under design, and we can do more. I mean, we're just at the minimum of how we can help our pedestrians. I know we've had people say, why don't we have those flashing crossings like Brighton? Well, at $15,000 a pop, we might have those someday. As we maximize our potential, as our master plan shows that south of Lake Street, we have about 6 to 8 blocks of development that could be redeveloped. And so our budget could triple, quadruple. It could be 6 times the budget within a 5 to 10 year period if we stay on track. So then a $15,000 crossing doesn't look so bad. We'll get there. Unless a sponsor who's dying to give us that money will take it. So these are achievements. We worked for 1.5 years to get the truck turns. The police can't be there every day, but we've significantly reduced by over 75% the truck turns. So both pedestrian and traffic safety is significantly better. We've reduced a lot of accidents as well. We're getting into design is important. We're going to talk about how we're getting into art. This is sustainable art. These are recycled materials. All of our trash cans downtown, all 24, the black ones, and then our 4 newest recyclable containers are all recycled material from Superb Fabricating. Those are automotive parts, generally most of them. So that's what's left over, and they repurpose them, and they're starting to sell these all over Michigan. We're the first. We're the test town. But you know what's interesting is that in working with the Cultural Arts Commission, we'll see that this is sustainable art too, because we're seeing this on Jeff Heinen's railings, South Lyon Hotel's railings. We're seeing them on Gary Fagan's A Good Day Cafe screening wall. We're going to see more of this around. We'll see it in our parks in some areas. Flowers. I know there's at least one person who gets super excited about flowers. It'd be Maggie Kurtzwell. But, so, I mean, it makes a difference. And so if, you know, God bless them, the Corner Cafe does an outstanding job. And they everybody took notice a couple years ago. And so we've decided the DDA's goal was to make our flowers better this year. And so we've done that. We got in there, we brought in Duke Donahue, and so it's been much better this year. Our flowers are something we can now be proud of. And a lot of our businesses have really picked up on it, locals. But our new containers, our new flowers this year, I think are a big improvement. And they were healthy all the way up until the end of September. And so that's a good thing. So thank you, Duke Donahue. And he came and trained our DPW staff. So continuing down the road of just paying attention to how things look. So every other year we're going to be seal coating our parking lots. Wells Street parking lot will be done next year. All of our parking lots, we're on a cycle now, and we have to build that into our budget. So building rehabs, it's a big part of the reinvestment going on. Historic preservation and rehab, again, it preserves our sense of place. It's important. It's who we are. There's no other downtown South Lyon anywhere. But you know, if you go down Telegraph Road from Pontiac all the way to Toledo, if you didn't look and see the sign that says you're entering or leaving a town, you wouldn't have a clue where you are all the way from Pontiac to Toledo, Ohio. So sense of place is really important. So we've had, the last 2 years have been big. We want to thank, he hates being recognized, so I did not tell you that Ron Borgman has done these buildings. I did not say that. So, and he's doing the green one next door there. So that's a 1930s building. By the way, our architecture, we want everything to speak for its real age. We don't want a fake Victorian architecture. They pulled off that front. There was a 1930s building that had changed the Victorian building for some reason in the 1930s, so that's what we deal with. Mid-century modern on the right, and the tour guide 50 years from now on a brand new building is going to say there's a great 2019 or 2020 building. So now, yeah, this is just a great, amazing job. Last year we celebrated that. This is kind of a 2-year look back on some of these slides. Now we saw this. Richard Rowe, the owner of these buildings, stepped forward and said he wanted to redo and bring back. So Richard did his thing. And we looked at all these things that needed to be changed. And so he went back and he not only took off the very dated wood shingles, but then he went in and put the original windows openings. And he had to actually re-brick. This one was in rough shape. It had been a lot of problems. So, outstanding job. He was going to do this for about $20,000. He wound up spending about $165,000. So, hey, we're lucky. So then all the cornices, he brought back that cornice on the left part of Lake Street Tavern too. It was $17,000 just for the cornice. So amazing. So we owe him a big debt of thanks. So now, our latest gem, 111, 113. We all remember that for 20 plus years that was vacant. Ron Borgman purchased that building and used historic photos. And it's about a 90-95% accuracy off the historic photos. We're very lucky. The doors are going to be replaced with Victorian style door replacements. Those are just temporary there, but we are so lucky. And he's reconditioning the sign and going to use that too. So again, amazing. So, project that was approved by the Planning Commission a couple months ago. The interior demo is underway. You see the dumpsters are out there. Building permits for the final design interior plans. So they plan to open in the fall of 2020. So brand new Italian, upscale Italian on the first and brand new third floor. Something that I think we're super proud of is that the partnership we formed over the last couple of years with the Cultural Arts Commission. And this is a new partnership, and it has just everywhere but up to go. And so what are we talking about this partnership? We talked about the sustainable art that we're seeing, because we're the only community that has that, has really done that. It's something that we need to really highlight more. But where are we going? We had that wonderful NASA moon and other space photos displayed coincidentally with the anniversary of the moon landing. So the American art photos that are up now and probably be up for another year or so, they're around town in wooden frames. The business poetry readings was an awesome thing. And the stores that participated, the poems are mounted and in those stores. Very professionally done. And that's a cool program that we're going to continue. Building murals is something that the Planning Commission is going to be dealing with in the next couple months. That's a great thing. Really picking up in other communities. We've been trying to push out other community examples on Facebook for the murals that are becoming popular. And we'll have standards so they're professionally done and something we can be proud of. Sidewalk chalk art. I think there are opportunities to let the children and people of all ages use that creativity. I don't know as we've ever done sidewalk chalk art events. We should just go for that like crazy. And it doesn't have to be perfect and professional. It's something for everybody. A flag of sidewalk is your canvas. And we have them from the... I mean, why not do it on every single flag of sidewalk? Wouldn't that be amazing through downtown? Why not? Sculptures. I know there is a sculpture that was approved. It was actually approved for placement in front of what is now the farmer's market lot. So there is a position for that, and hopefully in the next 1 or 2 years. The Cultural Arts Commission is actively seeking funding for it. It's a Jeff Badarak sculpture they would like to use. So we're going to get into that more. And then our history and our architecture, again, I think we've rediscovered it in the last couple of years, and so we're celebrating that more. And we have history tours that go on, and I think we'll be getting more into some architecture tours too. So ironically, we've had one mural off and on. This mural has been in that position for about 3 to 5 years. It comes and it goes. It was chalk, then it was paint, then they painted it over, it came back. So we have this one little mural behind the corner cafe, which is kind of neat. People stand in front of it, post pictures on Facebook. It's cool. So it's a start. So business investment and reinvestment. So really when we talk about the unlimited potential of our downtown, and so we want to maximize that potential. Everything we do, all these other activities. Promotion isn't the last thing you do, it's one of the 4 things you do. And so it gets you to these things. The best business recruitment tool is a well-managed downtown. So if we're hitting on all these cylinders, that is an attraction for business. Do they want to go to a well-managed downtown? Yes. If you don't even have a DDA or any management program in place, then you're probably not going to go there. So, in 2018, we had a great year. The final half of the downtown, after the South Lyon Hotel's construction was completed in 2018. Then we had 10 building rehabs and 4 building sales. So we look at all that, and we track it. So we have to benchmark our success, looking forward for trends. So building rehabs, again, wonderful. Of course, that adds, the tax assessor comes by a little bit and then adds to that tax income revenue increase. So it all plays in. So 2019, we're now seeing that we've had 9 building rehabs, interior and exterior. We will count painting if the entire building was painted. Studio 104, A&E Jewelers. There's another one, I forget it. So our building rehabs and our painting, things are really catching on, and we have more projects planned for next year. Building sales, those are the 2 Bonner buildings combined. So again, rehabs, the dollar investment, and we're lucky. So combined business investment and building sales over the last 2 years, just a benchmark. These are good figures for a tiny little downtown. These are good numbers. We're excited. We're getting momentum. So promotion and marketing. And again, it's not something you do that if you have the money, you must do this every year to compete. So I think the Lemon Tree, she's very proud of this, which is why Annie is going to be occupying that Bonner building at 111, 113. This is her quote. And so we're trying to do that. When we talk about Cool Yule, we talk about the South Lyon Eve, or trying to do more events, this is why we do it. One of the reasons we do it. So publicity, we'll take it any way we can get it. Lyon Today gets mailed out to all the households in Lyon Township, South Lyon, parts of Green Oak, Salem. So we've had several stories in the Lyon Today, and we're going to keep that partnership going. Our third edition of the Downtown Business Directory is coming out in December. That should be out in about 3 weeks. So, let's go back. So, I mean, we celebrate. So we're trying to arrange a media celebration for all those building rehabs. So when our wine bar opens, we think our wine bar at the cafe, the transformation of the cafe into a wine bar, we're going to be holding a major press event probably shortly after the Thanksgiving. So we're a downtown for all ages, which is great. I mean, we're getting more people. I know that it's becoming a place for all ages. It's something we're proud of. When you go in the cafe or you go in the stores, you can see that.
I just want you to know we bought a new bus.
Did you? Okay. We got to get a new slide.
All right, thanks.
All right. But you know, we've participated in senior events. This was early last spring out at the senior center at South Lyon High, and it's important to get involved in front of these groups. It's great. We support our schools. You know, there's a spirit in town, and so our teams, unfortunately, just went down, but it's part of the community. I mean, we should be celebrating more, and I think as a goal, we got to get that homecoming parade back downtown somehow, some way.
Yeah.
The small town America, homecoming parades come through these downtowns, so it's just a great part of what we have. So events, the primary ones. By the way, the first edition of our events calendar kind of styled to match our business directory. This is our city manager's idea, and so we'll be renewing that in January. The new one will come out. So I mean, just, you know, downtown is the center for a lot of great things, and we're so lucky that we have this. It's a great time. These are things that our neighbors don't have, and that we should be very fortunate. We are very fortunate. Yes. Uh-oh, car people. Uh-oh.
Fourth Wednesdays.
Oh, I blew it. Okay.
It's always 5 or 4 Wednesdays in a month.
Okay. Good.
We do have the magic bus ban for the next 5 years.
Excellent. 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 So we're just a great downtowns are a place to celebrate, a place to gather in good times and bad times, or for whatever reason. So we're very fortunate. Of course, our major event every year, Pumpkin Fest, which is awesome. Apologize, that's an old slide, but it showcases. You know, businesses say, well, it doesn't really help me that day. What it does is it brings that many people by your door. And so it's up to you to capitalize on it, or at least people have discovered you. This is true of all the events. Kids Trick or Treat has really been coming on. And this, our biggest one, and we brought in the South Lyon Area Recreation Authority with the pet parade this year, and so we're fortunate. And so these are things we have to repeat, critique, and grow. Our fall decorations, I think we've picked up our game on that the last 2 years. And so just for consistency, and I think our downtown looks better over the last couple of years. So we added, in fact, Judy Keeling and Marge Stefanski, this was their idea. So we made it happen. We got a lot of things donated, and we brought hay bales. And they want to transform this into a holiday photo op area too. So, but thanks to them, this is 2 volunteers that just jumped in to get something done. How cool is that? There have been a lot of people taking advantage of it. Ladies' Night Out's coming up. It's a spring and it's a fall. So I know these are older ones, but so we're coming up. It's on November 15th this year. So while all the deer hunters are out, not just ladies, but a lot of ladies and a few men just decide to come down to town and have a good time while everybody else is deer hunting. So then we go into Cool Yule. Jeff Heineman is co-chair of the Cool Yule activities. Dana Johnson is also on board now, and so we will have all of the detailed information out by the 1st of next week. This was it's been kind of a hot potato. The event has come to the city, to the chamber, back to the DDA, put it back to the city. So we picked up the pieces in May, and I think Jeff's doing a great job to get this thing put together and get it moving ahead. So November 26th this year, this is last year, Small Business Saturday is something big for downtown, and we push heavy on that. And then we had the Heineman dream of the mother of all Christmas trees last year. So, and it doesn't cost anything, as Jeff will tell you. It's almost a freebie thing. No. I think this was about a $50,000 effort last year, Jeff? Somewhere in that range?
Something like that.
And that didn't include the massive patio to put it up. So we're looking forward to, of course, our 2nd year of this. It's come in fully into the Cool Yule. It's been adopted as our holiday tree. And it's a public and private event, much in the same organizational relationship as Pumpkin Fest, which is a 501c3. So that's what we're learning. This isn't just for Heineman Engineering. It's a relationship between a private foundation. And so we'll clearly, public realm items are where city and DDA money can be spent on the public side. And we've done our research, the tree. In most communities, the holiday tree, that's a title we work with in these days. The holiday tree is often, those expenses are split between all partners for the tree. In Rochester, all the lights you see, most of those lights were provided by the city of Rochester and the DDA split and businesses. So it's about a 3-way split. So it's kind of a model we're looking at for the future here and to sustain something like this. But I don't know, Jeff, you still have your goal to not be number 3, to be the tallest tree? Is that still a goal?
Absolutely.
Okay. We're only about 5 to 10 feet away,
Yeah,
which is crazy. We're within 7 feet of the state capitol. And then they lie in Campus Martius in Detroit, because that was really a little shorter. So great times. Our farmers market, I think we've really come a long ways in the last couple of years. And there's a thing in downtown development. It's you pay people a tribute by copying their ideas. So in Dixboro, it's called rip off and duplicate, or R&D. You could say it's R&D. It's not research and development. It's rip off and duplicate. So Dixboro had one panel with 2 posts, and I think Tim might have seen that and showed us. And so then it quickly picked up steam, and the DPW guys were like, seriously, we got to add another panel? So to not wall off the whole parking lot and make it like a detriment, we've maxed out here. This is kind of where we're at. So this is our farmers market sponsor board, and originally we were going to have these up for the season. I think we know that the ability to sell each one of these at $195 each, these are 52 weeks a year, and that's quite a bargain. Facing primary route for 52 weeks a year. So I think we'll get most of these sponsors back next year, which is great.
What's the deadline on sponsorship for that?
I think this year, because the market opens up first weekend in May.
Yes.
So the deadline will probably be, to get them printed, probably be like April 1st. Yeah. So we decided we had the backside. What to do on the backside? So then we said, well, it'd be nice if it was in a more visible location, but these are signs that are very cheaply done. These are less than $200 a piece, the left and the right. They're kind of a corrugated plastic, and those will get changed out every year. Because the business directory, of course, changes every year. So it's just something extra we've added. But the farmers market expansion, we brought the shed downtown, saved actually several $1,000s and freed up a lot of staff at the DPW. They don't have to deliver a trailer every weekend. So we're just, we're a small farmers market. We're a small community. There's a lot of competition for farmers markets in the area. But if you look at health conditions, eating local, eating unprocessed food is a good thing. So I think even though there's a lot of competition, this lifestyle is growing. Just great stuff. So I think we're looking forward to the 4th year in a row with a comprehensive management program. I think we need to congratulate our Downtown Development Authority Board, many volunteers in our city for strong support, and exciting years ahead. So we're at the Q&A. There must be some burning question, or you think some of this is like all wrong, or where are we going? If you wanted to know where we're going, there is the DDA at our goals and objectives every February. In the back is a 10-year downtown DDA future project list back there. And so we alter this at our goals and objectives every year. So this kind of gives you a little bit of a direction of what the Downtown Development Authority has seen of, with our small budget, what we could do. So some questions. Somebody. Yes.
When you have the revenue and expenses, do you offset like the revenue from the farmer's market with the expenses from the farmer's market, and the same for the pool duel and revenue and expenses for sponsorship?
Yes.
Is one more lucrative than another, or do you?
Well, we're learning how to make up packages. Now, Cool Yule and the South Lyon Eve ball drop, we're going to try to package that. But yes, the revenue is accounted for in the city's budget under the DDA, which is the fund number 280. So, yes, we code the revenue for Cool Yule, and then we match that up with expenses. Same thing for any other event.
Are all the expenses in there, or are there some expenses for those things that are covered separately?
Well, some of the other line items, like if we went over, as long as we look at general promotion, there's some money there, like if we needed an extra set of postcards. But, and then for capital improvements, actually, the cost to go with 24 of the garbage cans and then the 4 recycling cans, we went over our initial estimate by $5,000, so we took that out of other line items. We amended our budget, and actually council approved that amendment a few months back. But generally, all the revenue, sponsorship revenue, is targeted to a specific event.
And it covers it, yeah.
Yes. Maggie?
I just want to get a point of clarification on revenue, on the tip, for the DDA.
Yes.
The tip portion is the actual, only the increase that occurs. So if you
Yes.
have a downturn in the economy, a recession, and you have no increase at all, because of what's happening,
Yes.
then your revenues are seriously compromised.
Yes.
Okay.
And that happened here.
Yeah.
Because with up until this year, actually in fiscal 2018, which ended on June 30th, this past June 30th, we made our last payment on the Wells Street parking lot. That was about an annual $32,000 payment. But what happened is in the recession, we could not make that payment, and the city made up for that. I think there were 5 or 6 years where the city had to make up the difference. And that is, under the DDA law, if the revenues drop, and if there are any bonded indebtedness, then the city has to make up those bond payments. Now, in other words, we just have to cut and do a lot less. If we had another recession, we would just have to do a lot less.
Yeah, but as that business cycle, it goes up and down, and what's happening now is that you have very low inflationary pressures. So I don't see where your increases are coming from, because I just don't see where the inflation is to bring those prices up,
Right.
to provide you with substantial substantial funds on the TIF side. So does
Yes.
that now mean that in order for the DDA to do additional things that it wants to do, that we're looking for additional contributions from the
Yes.
city budget?
Definitely, we're in a period where we need more contributions.
Okay.
But when you look at, we now are significant momentum of having restored and looking at property increases on East Lake and North Lafayette. So our historic core is being maximized, and those property values will go up. We have 8 additional blocks, 4 blocks south facing, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, in a downtown master plan component of the city's master plan. So our growth, we can completely redesign as the master plan calls for and reinvent all 8 blocks with 2 to 3-story development. I would like to see a combination of, personally, I think design-wise, I think the DDA would rather keep our character under control with 2-story development, but we could go 3. We're seeing the Italian restaurant go 3. So that will be significant increases. I mean, we will be getting into the tens and $20,000 sometimes and more per project of revenue. And once that starts rolling, once those 8 blocks become maximized, then we'll see significant increase. But until that, yeah, it's going to be tough unless we get major building rehabs. Yep.
And just one more point on the revenue side, is that is exactly what Ann Arbor is doing, is that Ann Arbor is looking at a additional stream of revenue rather than just the basic 1-, 2-story property tax. And that's why they keep passing ordinances to allow 6-story building, 7-story building, 8-story building, because each floor is now a separate taxed unit. That is how Ann Arbor is increased. That's what they're doing. That's the first one. And then, of course, we all know what's going on in Royal Oak.
Right. I think our community character, through our community master plan process, according to our state planning laws, I think we want to maintain our character and our scale. And I think by going to 3-story, that's quite a move. And so I think we'll see, and I think we'll, for lack of a better term, kind of live with that and see how that progresses. But we don't want to lose our small town charm. And but I think we can see significant increases through new development or major building rehabs. You know, I think I might have said the stone building is going to be about a $2.2 million project, and so that's going to generate a significant amount of tax increase, which will come to the DDA. So, but yeah, it won't be easy. We're so small. We were fiscally conservative, and so we're not going to be able to grow as fast as Rochester or some of those other ones. So yeah. Other questions? Anything else? You know, we have a lot of opportunities for people to get involved, and so whenever there's an opportunity for a volunteer, we like to identify that specific opportunity, not have a meeting and say, anybody that wants to volunteer, show up, and then you're never called for a year, and so you never volunteered for anything. So we've been putting the call out to specific tasks and projects, and so you might just get a poke on the back when you're at the grocery store and go, hey. So, but I think this town has pulled together. This all happens through great teamwork, and it's an exciting time for our downtown. And I think if you look nationally, the last thing I'll say, and I think we didn't do too bad. We're under an hour. So if you look at the statistics by that Place Economics or Donovan Ripkema, across the country, you can see that downtowns that decided to manage themselves comprehensively, you set a base year for comprehensive management. For us, it was 2016. So we're now into year 3. We're now actually into year 4. So you start to see all the basic building trust, understanding the value of historic buildings, people starting to invest more around year 3, year 4. And so we are right on target. And so then significant new development. People believe in us. The restaurants are coming to us. We have the other plus of the outer development around us. So we are right on track to meet our goals. And so the master plan isn't pie in the sky. I think we'll see in the next 2 to 3 years probably at least one $6 to $10 million project be built south of Lake Street. We're going to get it done. So there's some news. I think there's a couple incredible projects that are going to get announced. I won't put anybody on the spot because they want to remain a little incognito, but there are some projects in this room that are going to knock your socks off probably between now and next June, and some really exciting things coming up. So with that, I want to thank you guys for coming out. So no, again, there's some handouts in the back if you want a copy of the PowerPoint, but thank you. And then if you know anybody else that would like to come to one of these types of sessions, the DDA meetings are always open, but we're going to go through this November 14th at 8 o'clock. Thank you.